Chrysler, Dodge, etc. They've been the car manufacturer rising from the Phoenix again and again and again.
Again and again and again.
And it
Yeah.
only takes that one model.
Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, digital executive producer. And with me is Glenn Packman from beautiful Fairfield County. Glenn is a car enthusiast among many other good qualities that he has. Um, Glenn, some interesting things, and I mean that in a positive way,
Yeah.
have come up at Stellantis of late.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the new CEO, Antonio Filosa, has hit the ground running, right?
Cool.
And he is kind of making every if the previous regime did something, he's doing the 180-degree opposite of that. So they announced a $13 billion investment in the American uh, products, right? And that is it's five new vehicles
Mm-hmm.
um, and one new engine. Remains to be seen what that mix is, how far out this goes. Um, there's a lot of other details that fall into this, but in the big picture, Glenn, what are you thinking about these moves?
Um, I'm really I'm feeling optimistic about this company for the first time in a while. I just feel like they've been sort of just stagnating, and sort of very not enthusiastically grasping for straws. And that's not a good thing, because when you grasp for a straw, you have to really do it with enthusiasm. And when you're grasping and you're going, it doesn't, no. No. So I'm very happy. I'm as a former Chrysler owner, I'm happy to see somebody with vision coming at this. I would really like to see Jeep stick around as a brand. Um, just as an American, I feel like Jeep should be sort of what people think of when you say an American SUV.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if someone said to me, name an American SUV line Jeep, is the first thing that pops into my brain, because they were the original SUV, you know. So it'd be great if they stuck around. I'm hoping they can create some magic like they have in the past. And let's be honest, Chrysler, Dodge, etc. They've been the car manufacturer rising from the Phoenix again and again and again.
Again and again and again.
And it
Yeah.
only takes that one model, you know, and it's been a few years since we had that, since the 300
Yeah.
was the last one. And I think they can do it again. I think it takes a lot of consideration, a lot of thought as to what people want to buy and how you're going to market it. But this guy sounds like he's really got the ideas. At least they're turning out some creative juices again, and that's
Mm-hmm.
great. It's great.
Yeah. Um, they are, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, bringing back a mid-sized pickup truck,
Mm-hmm.
which is great news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, they're, we have fond memories of the Dakota, and we hope that it will be called the Dakota again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they they are have talked in very non-specific terms about bringing back the sedan for
Mm-hmm.
Chrysler. Um, Remains to be seen what that actually means. Um, and Jeep has straightened out their lineup. You know,
Yeah.
they are once again making just rather than having a confusing thing, and it never made sense to me, like some were Wagoneers, some were Grand Wagoneers, right? And I
Yeah.
understood, I could sit there and look at the difference, but I don't think the buying public understood that difference,
Right. Right.
you know?
Yep.
Um, so you have all these things that are they're working together. And this guy, this new CEO, um, you know, is like I said, doing 180 degree. You know, the what Carlos Tavares seemed to do was cutting our way to prosperity, which, had been kind of what they had done, for years and years and years. And, going back to Daimler Chrysler,
Right.
not really getting, just taking the value out of that, taking the money out of America and, shipping it off to Europe. Okay. That's one way to do it, but then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Right.
and you're also kind of looking at, all these things that really just aren't working for you, right,
Mhm.
in the long run. Penny wise and pound foolish. How many
Right.
more cliches can I say, Glenn?
There are many, many, but if they fit, are they truly cliche if it fits?
Well,
I guess.
there's a reason why they stick around. Let's
Yes.
let's say
Right.
that.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
so what do you think? So okay, so we're talking 5 new vehicles.
Right.
Okay. And new vehicles can mean a lot of different things to different people.
Right.
Why don't we take a break and we'll come back and let's think about what those 5 vehicles need to be. Welcome back. Glenn has rejuvenated and used the commercial break to go get something to drink and something to eat. Did you bring enough for everyone, Glenn?
I don't know how many everyone is, but I would find a way of doing that. Anyways.
Anyways, Stellantis wants to bring, as part of a $13 billion investment, has said they're going to bring out 5 new vehicles, and a new engine.
Mhm.
And and thinking, well, I'm gonna start with the engine first. I'm gonna say that what they need is a really great 4-cylinder engine that can be adapted to be a hybrid, that can run,
Mhm.
you know, be modular enough to be in a small car and also be able to be adapted to
Mhm.
be a larger, what Ford does with the EcoBoost series, right?
Right. Right.
Um, and so I think they need something that fits a lot of things, because I think they're getting good marks for the 6-cylinder, which I'm
Mhm.
blanking on what they call it right now, but they have the inline six, which great for them.
Mhm.
Um, and which powers the Grand Cherokee, and they were putting it in the new Charger, as and so I think that that's what they need for the engine.
Yeah.
What the other thing would be that they're doing this new midsize Ram pickup truck. What are your thoughts that they need to bring to the market?
Um, I'm going to concur with you that a smaller, potentially higher output power plant would probably work well for them. I mean, I remember just a few scant years ago, like within the past 10 years, some of the bigger SUVs, and they were being introduced with, oh my God, a turbo 4. And people were like, you can't do that. But we've gotten to the day and age where a turbo 4 cranks out a lot of power, you know?
Mhm.
And I think what you said about modularity really hits the nail right on the head. They need something that they can, that can be used in a number of different ways in their lineup, especially if they're coming out with 5 new cars. So
Mhm.
I'm going to agree with that. Also, I don't think the mark has ever been known for hybrid or EV as anything notable. So
No.
maybe I would say maybe skip the EV thing for right now and maybe concentrate on a good hybrid, because I think that there just might be more interest in sales in something like that. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. I think what they should do is let the European arm of Stellantis build the EV,
Sure, why not?
right?
Yeah,
They can share platforms all the day long, but if you focus on what Americans want to buy, that is, you know, a standard engine or a hybrid engine,
Yep.
right? And if you and look, I'm no engineer. I don't pretend to be an engineer, but it would seem to me that if you that scaling a hybrid engine into a plug-in hybrid is not that difficult or that much of a stretch, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I think those plug-in hybrids really provide a real place in the market. Because I mean, I've looked at it. You know, you drive around all day, but I drive from here to there, and then I sit there, and then I drive back. And, you know,
Right.
so I'm maybe doing 20 miles, right? Where
Hmm.
I could, you know, easily, if I had a plug-in hybrid, I could plug it in here at night, charge it up, and I'm on, you know, electric power all that time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And and um and so that kind of, I think, provides a stopgap for a lot of people.
Right.
Um and then you let, you know, the full EV platform, that's what they put together in Europe or South America or someplace else.
Hmm.
I think when I look at a vehicle lineup, I really, I mean, I wish them good luck with uh I keep calling it the Ram Dakota,
Hmm.
but that midsize.
Hmm.
But here's the thing about that. Like that the midsize pickup trucks are 20% of the pickup truck market.
Right.
And then of that, the Tacoma, the Toyota, is 42% of that market,
Hmm.
leaving the rest to GM, Colorado Canyon, Ranger, you know, Frontier, whatever they're doing over the Nissan and
Right.
things like that. And then, and so I think if you were able to target a smaller
Hmm.
pickup truck and hit the Maverick market, and
Hmm.
you make it body on frame, and you know, do some things like that, that can make it a real player in that space.
Right. Right.
That's, I think that's the way to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then once you have that, then you can use that infrastructure and assembly plant to make a small SUV out of that.
Right. Right.
And
Absolutely.
maybe that's, you know, that's a platform they share amongst Dodge and Jeep.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Why not?
let me ask you a question. This just
Sure.
occurs to me. Do you think there would be a market for a Ram SUV? It just occurred to me that that one might be a place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel like there's a market for an SUV in just about any make and model because they've become so popular.
One.
A few-
Hi, we recorded this in mid-October. On October 30th, Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa told Wall Street analysts that in addition to the mid-size pickup truck, Ram will be adding an SUV to their lineup in 2028. This was reported by Automotive News. It would compete against the Chevy Tahoe, the Ford Expedition, and the GMC Yukon.
a few years ago, I was like, a Porsche SUV? What are
Right,
you out of your
right.
mind? And there have been so many manufacturers that have come out with it. I mean, Mercedes, their first SUV, I was like, no, people aren't buying a Mercedes to have an SUV. And now that's all they're selling here.
Right,
That's all
right.
anybody is selling. So yeah, why not? I'd be anxious to see what it looks like. And to dovetail off of that, I'm going to wholly agree with you that I think that the smaller pickup market would be something great to crack. Ford is selling every last Maverick they're making, and I'm a fan. But I will say this much: the interior of the Maverick still looks cheap. Still looks really just cheap. And Ford really knows how to make a cheap interior. They, you know what I'm talking about? I
Yeah.
know I'm not gonna bash Ford, but when they sometimes some of their interiors look aggressively inexpensive. Maybe it's a look they're going for. but it's like being aggressively mediocre. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Um, but I really think there's something to be
I
said there.
I I I don't disagree with you, but I don't agree. I at the same time don't agree with you because I think that they've made a lot of effort to make an inexpensive interior look better than I think it's a grade above what it probably cost them.
Right, right. I'll
That
give you I'll
I
give you
don't
that.
I don't disagree with you, that it
Yeah.
is inexpensive looking.
Right,
But,
right. I saw a Maverick up close just recently, and I took a look in, and the first thing that it caught was it's a really typically Ford dash, and
mhm,
it just doesn't scream anything more than that's a Ford dash. So,
right.
and it's the Maverick is kind of a cute truck. I don't think it's really that much of a looker. Imagine if Dodge Ram came out with something really cool looking in that market segment, something with that, the magic that we're looking for, you
Mhm.
know. I I, I think that that's going to be a win for them because it's going to be what people expect, And I'm thinking about those first generation Dodges and Chryslers that had that. The very first generation Durango was just it was the SUV everyone wanted. I talked to a Dodge salesman when they refreshed and came up with 2.0 of the Durango, and then nobody bought it. And
Right.
he was heartbroken because it was like everybody wanted the old Durango. That was one of them, just as an example. The 300, same
Mhm.
thing. It just, there was something there. The very first minivans,
Mhm.
and Dodge Chrysler, Ram, etc. They have a knack for doing this, and they need to get that knack back in a
Mhm.
big way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so Jeep is doing a good job. I think they need a little bit of a boost, but they're still there, and I really
I,
want them to stay in the picture.
right. And I think that they're going in the right direction with the new
Yeah,
Compass and Cherokee.
yeah,
They go back that they look like Jeeps. They don't look like, generic rounded SUV,
right.
right, and and okay, so here's my can you imagine that if you had when I go back to this idea about an SUV, if you had something along the lines of um, the Renegade, but
Mhm.
had it be, um, you know, maybe you do a body on frame, maybe, but have it be something that doesn't look like a cutesy little thing,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
totally.
And
Well,
and
to be
uh,
fair, the Renegade was designed for not the U.S. You
right,
know,
true.
they're built in I think South America and Italy, and that was the market that they aimed this car at. The fact
Mhm,
that it did relatively well here in the U.S. was a little bit of a surprise for them.
mhm,
And there's a couple styling elements I like about the Renegade, but you're absolutely right. It's too cutesy for the mark.
mhm.
Uh, and I remember when they first came out, I was with a friend of mine, and he said to me, "You're a car guy?" And I said, "I am." And he said, "What is that?" And he pointed to the new Renegade when it was new. And I said, "Believe it or not, that's a Jeep." And he goes, "That's a Jeep? What are they, crazy?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"Maybe, maybe." So
yeah.
I've
It's
always I've
go
always
ahead.
liked the taillights that looked like the canteen
The
with
gas can, yeah,
the gas
yeah,
cans with the X. Yeah. And
yeah.
that I always thought was cool. The rest of the car, you can keep. I think in terms of capitalizing on what people want, yeah, sure, why not? If you're going to drive small, it's got to be kind of cool. So,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we look at what we've seen so far of the new Cherokee,
mm,
the awkwardness and of the name aside.
yeah.
But what you see with the Cherokee, what you see with the Compass are, that more traditional Jeep look.
Mhm.
That says something solid. It says something, and and I'm blanking on the name. There's also an EV that I think they're selling in Europe, or plan to sell in Europe, that also has that same sort of slab side, you
Mhm.
know, sort of look to it. Um, we're going to take a break here and then we'll come back and talk some more. Welcome back to Car-Pinionated. We're in the process of telling Chrysler and Jeep and Dodge and Ram what they need to do. Um, but they've listened to us, Glenn,
Yes, I
because
do.
the moves they made have, as Jeff once said, there's no problem that can't be solved with a lot of money being thrown at it. And $13 billion, by my estimation, is a
There
lot of
you go.
money.
There you go.
So we've decided that they need a small pickup truck.
Mhm.
Continue with the mid-sized pickup truck. What else do you think should be on their plate to do?
Well, I do think that it's relatively important for them to hang on to the Pacifica minivan because I think there's only two left in the US. Or there, I don't.
That and
The
the
only ones like
Odyssey.
the are they still selling the Odyssey? I don't
I
even.
believe so.
Okay, and I think Kia is still making the Carnival.
Right.
Or have they
So three.
changed the name on it? So
No, no.
Kia got smart because the latest minivan of theirs that I saw almost looked like an SUV. It was,
Mhm.
almost to the point where it looked like it was trying to disguise itself as an SUV.
Yes, I
Like it's
I
like it's a
absolutely think
minivan.
like
It's a minivan going to a costume party as an SUV. It is very clever and not bad
Right.
looking either.
No,
But
no.
the Pacifica, I mean, the sales numbers on the Pacifica have been good, and
Yeah.
so let's not jinx that. But it's time for an update. We had one as a rental. We, we landed and we went to get our car, and they're like, "Okay, so you're signed up for a mid-size sedan. We don't have any. How about a minivan?" And I'm like, they're so close. So it was all they had.
Yeah.
So they gave us a discount, and then we had way more room than we needed for the weekend. But I will say the Pacifica was really nice driving, didn't feel big, got us around South
Yeah.
Carolina with no problems at all. So it was a very pleasant drive. Exciting? Well,
Yeah.
no one's buying a minivan to be
You,
exciting.
you,
Um,
you, your rental
but
car story. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say it's okay to um, buy a minivan with a little bit of style and panache, and just
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
why not? Why not? It
Uh,
don't think that just because people have a bunch of kids they don't want to
uh,
travel in style.
right. Right. I think that yeah, I think you do another I think you do another minivan and you
Mhm.
find ways to make it um something again modular, right? That
Yeah,
can be bigger, can be smaller, have a variety of powertrains, and
yeah,
and that's a tried and true segment of the market because there's always going to be people looking for shuttles. There's
hmm,
always going to be families who want that because it's a
right,
really good solution for multi, people families.
yeah.
So I think that I don't know if they want to use as a benchmark the Toyota Crown.
Mm,
And
yeah,
why I say that is because it's a taller sedan
right,
that
right.
has morphed into, having the Signia, the wagon, right?
Hmm,
And it's kind of unique in the market, you know.
hmm,
Uh, I think it remains to see how good they're selling.
right,
Uh,
right.
but I think if you I don't think coming to the market with another sedan.
I frankly think to come out with something Crown like would be great, especially if they wanted to do two body styles of it, one that's more sedan like, maybe with a hatch, and then one with an actual SUV or wagony kind of look. Um, and just break it out into not even break it out, but just say there's the 300 and then there's the 300 Trailblazer, not Trailblazer, that's been used. Trail 300X, the 300, I don't know
Yeah,
something.
right.
But you know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah, but it just occurred to me that that's kind of what they did when they first came out with that platform when you had
Okay.
the Dodge Magnum.
Oh, right, the Magnum. Yeah,
Yeah,
it didn't sell,
yeah.
did it? But you know what,
No. It
the
was
Magnum,
awesome. I
it,
love the looks of that car.
yeah, but it still didn't say 300. It was the
No.
Magnum, and no one knew what the Magnum was.
Right.
Everybody,
It was a Dodge. It was in the other showroom. Right.
right, exactly, exactly. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I, I'm thinking, and this is just a huge vat of like processed cheese product, the soft kind that you can pour. It's a bucket of cheese. But what if they did take? What if they restyled the Pacifica and then came out with a couple packages in terms of like how you want to use the car, like a specific package just for camping, or just a
Yeah.
specific package geared towards sports equipment,
Mm.
or and trying to snag those niches. It means spending a lot of money on something that only a few thousand people are going to buy, but it's going to be something kind of cool. Maybe do a different fabric on the seats. I don't know.
Well,
Any
okay. Here's I think I said this last week with
nesty
Jeff.
chocolate, you say it's good.
Okay. Um, I think when you look at Ford, and Ford, I think, knows how to market their vehicles like no one's
Mm,
business. Um, I think when you look at Ford and you look at the range of vehicles, like you have the Mustang, but that goes from the four-cylinder, base model all the way up to the 300 GTD, I think, right? Look at the Bronco, right?
mm,
There's each iteration, it's aimed at a very specific niche in the market, right? And
yeah.
so if you adopted that philosophy, what you're saying is the Pacifica sports team and the Pacifica livery service and the Pacifica, this and that and the other thing. And
Mm,
I think maybe that's a way to emulate what Ford seems to do really, really well.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why not?
And and when you look at it, I mean, I think that's a really appealing to different customers in that bigger group. In any case, we're hoping for the best for Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and it's nice to see some positive change there.
Mm,
So good on them. And with that, we're going to bid a fond adieu. We're going to land the plane, dock the boat.
mm.
Uh, Remember, you can find Car-Pinionated on YouTube and see all our old episodes. And with that, we will see you next time.